Hello, welcome to Deb Keeping It Simple. This afternoon I wanted to show you what I have learned this week about making bread. You can make bread in your own home and you know what is in your bread when you do it at home. It is so simple. I was overthinking it myself until I began. Now you can start your bread with the store-bought activated yeast. You can warm that up in a little bit of water and activate it that way. But I've also learned to make sourdough starter. So I will take you through steps of that another time. But I have my sourdough all ready. It's all active and ready to go. So I am going to simply put this together for you and take you through the simple steps of doing it yourself in your own home. So first of all, you'll take your activated yeast. You'll take about a cup of it, since I want to make a full loaf. Take about a cup of activated sourdough starter. Now you can use less, but I want to make sure it's good and rises really nice. And it's so fun to create your own starter, sourdough starter. I did learn how to do it, and I got a very active starter. Into that, you want to place a cup of water, warm water. Warm water jump starts your bread for rising. All mixed up. So you can use activated yeast, but there's so much more health benefits to sourdough starter. So it gives you probiotics and you know what's in it. Then to this, since I enjoy a little bit softer loaf of bread, I am going to add a little bit of honey, not too much. I add about 2 tablespoons, and this will keep your sourdough loaf a little bit softer. I have washed my hands for this recipe. One more. Paper towel. Alright, and you mix that in. All mixed in there. And also you'll want to add a teaspoon of salt to your bread mix. I use pink Himalayan salt, so use that a pink teaspoon of that. Aside, get all these ingredients out of the way. Mix that up. Now, we'll get ready to add the flour. Now, I think the recipe usually calls for about 4 cups of flour, but I'm going to first of all add 3 cups of flour and begin mixing that in first. You can use all-purpose flour. You can use whole wheat flour. I've used unbleached all-purpose flour. I've also used whole wheat flour, and I've also used rye flour for my bread. Now I don't go by weighing. I know a lot of people go by the weight, but I go by the cup. What I've learned, don't overthink your bread. It'll turn out just fine. I was overthinking it about a week or so ago, so I learned how to do this. And you gradually start mixing that in. You definitely want to have clean hands because you're going to get your fingers in there here in a little bit. For now, you want a tacky dough. You don't want it real soft, real dry. I've already made 1 loaf of sourdough this past week and a half ago, and then I made another loaf of bread, a little softer sandwich slicing loaf. This is the one that's right here with the poppy seeds on it. And when you put it together, you know what's in your bread. There's no weird words in your bread. It's just flour, yeast, water, salt. That's it. Now, I put a little flour on my fingers because it is sticky. Just keep working the dough. It all work together. Kind of a tacky dough. We've worked it, all the dry ingredients in. Then we're going to let it rest about 30 minutes. Continue working with the dough. You're developing the proteins. You can use white bread flour as well. It's really good to use. Just scraped off the bowl. It's a sticky mess. It's very tacky dough. Flour on my fingers. Not too much flour. You want a wet dough because that way it gives you a moister bread. If you keep adding too much flour to dry it out, then it's gonna be a denser bread. And I've done that too. I've made a dense bread and I've made a soft bread. And the first loaf, my starter wasn't completely activated yet. It was still a young starter. So my dough would not rise. It kept staying sticky, but it wouldn't rise. So finally I did what others said. When you're first starting out and your starter's not strong enough yet, just add a little bit of active yeast. Granted, it's not pure sourdough bread, but it worked. My dough started rising, and it turned out a beautiful, beautiful loaf of sourdough bread. So, okay, I'm going to take my fingers cleaned off, and we'll get this covered, and we'll let it set for about 30 minutes. And I'll bring you back and show you what's next. You can use a machine. But since I'm not buying a machine for just that, I can use my fingers. So we'll be back in about 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. Get in here and see how the dough's doing. Start pulling it from the sides. We didn't even really need that 4th cup of flour, so see, just gotta keep working it. Right in the sides. Just bring it together. Now what I'm going to do, so it's getting tighter. Alright, I'm going to put a little oil on my hand instead of flour because I don't want to, that's pretty good. I guess I can use a little bit of flour. Start pulling on the dough, pull it over. Pull it from the side, pull it over. Just like that. Precise. I mean, it's not finicky. Just a little bit of, I'm going to put oil on my tail. I find that oil works better. That way you don't end up using too much flour, but the oil keeps it from sticking. Just like that. This is how I work it. Pull it out of the bowl. Scraper. Side. Start pushing it. Folding it, folding it. Pulling it towards you, folding it. So let's create tension on it so it starts smoothing out. Set, a little oil, another do, add a little oil so it doesn't stick to your bowl. Smear it around. And then again, after we've worked it, we're going to sit this in here, and we're going to sit it in a warm place. We're going to let that rest for about 3 hours, and you can also let it rest overnight in the refrigerator. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this rest overnight in the refrigerator. That develops more of the sourdough flavor to your dough. Let it slowly rise in the what do they call it? Proof. You let it proof in the refrigerator overnight, and then tomorrow we'll start working the dough and probably let it sit another little bit, and we'll bake it tomorrow evening. So this is how simple it is to make bread in your own home. Flour, water, yeast, either sourdough starter or activated yeast, or I guess you could use instant yeast, and then salt, and you mix it together, and there you go. You can add a little bit of honey to your dough. You can also add about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of oil to your dough. That will also give you more of a sliced bread feel to your dough instead of the sourdough chewiness that you get sometimes with sourdough. So I've done both, but I prefer the sourdough. So anyway, I will get this covered and put this in the refrigerator overnight. There goes the spoon, and I will bring you back to work on it some more. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Good morning. It's early the next morning after I form the dough for the bread. Let's see where we're at. It's rested in the refrigerator, or they call it proofing, overnight, so that way you have a sweeter loaf of bread. Now we're going to stretch it a little more. I think it's got enough oil, so start working the dough. I got my morning coffee here. It is for me 4 in the morning. I'm an early riser. Okay. Just begin folding it in. We're forming the glutens in the wheat. Folding it, quarter of a turn each time, and pulling it over. Stretch it and fold it over. See, it's getting tight. It's resisting me the more you do it, the more it resists. That's what forms your nice, compact sourdough loaf. After we get done, see, it's already getting really tight. I'll put a little oil on the table. And then this time, I'm not going to put it back in the refrigerator. I'm going to probably put it in a warm place. The best place for me is in my oven with the light on. The light brings your oven temperature to about 80 degrees, and it's perfect for resting dough in and letting it rise. So, let's brush that down. A little bit more in. Now, some people put flour on their table. I tend to put oil, because that way you don't get too much flour in your dough. You just form it into a ball again after you've kneaded it. And we'll let this sit for about 2 hours again, and I'll knead it again. It'll form those gluten fibers. Put it back in the bowl again. Now this time I am going to put it in a warm oven. Cover. I bought one of these beeswax covers, or you can use plastic wrap. It's got sweat on it from overnight in the fridge. Got some seeds from the bread that I had on the table yesterday. Alright, now I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'll show you the next step. Well, we'll re-knead it again in a couple hours, and then I'll set it aside, and you can let it sit and rise, and then I'll probably bake it off this evening when I get back from work. So I will be back in a couple hours. Okay, I'm finally back. Didn't get a chance to do what I planned this morning, So now we get to check on the bread, which it has really risen on its own all day long. So I have to... Hello, I'm back in the kitchen with my dough. As you see, I had it rising in a warm place today, and it really did rise up. Things happened this morning that I didn't get a chance to knead it one more time, but that's okay. It's very forgiving. You just let it go and you deflate it when you get home, and then we'll work the dough tonight, and then we'll get it in the pan for baking. So you just keep folding it over. Yeah. And I am going to put just a little bit of flour on the table this time. Get it out of here. Alright. Get a little more flour. I think it's just a little bit wetter than I planned, but that works. You press it out the size of 2 hands. You start pulling it in. That's why you're squishing it. You're getting all those air bubbles out. So one more time, then we're going to put it in the loaf pan. We're going to let that rise. One more time. In there, press it down, and then we're going to put this in the warm oven again for a little while. Now that it's evening, I'll leave it in there till probably around about 4 or 5 hours and let it rise again, and then we're going to bake it. We'll be baking it at about 350 for about 15 minutes or till it's golden brown. Once it's risen, I'll probably put some sesame seeds and stuff on top. I'll show you that. We'll brush it with a little bit of milk to hold the seeds on. So, hope that was helpful, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, now it's been a couple hours, and my dough has risen. My bread dough has risen really nice, my sourdough. I'm going to brush it down with a little bit of milk, just slightly. So this way the seeds will stick to it. It's all nice and puffy. I'm heating my oven to 350. I love this little cup. This was my dad's through the military. It's one of the military cups, and it's exactly about a cup. And it works really nice. So I got a little bit of my dad here in my kitchen with me. I'll be very careful. And the other thing I'm going to do here in a minute is I'm going to score the bread to help it to rise even better. I think maybe I'll do that now. You make a cut in it. rise even more. I have a razor blade for this. So anyway, kind of like that. That way that'll rise up. Now you can make your bread just in a round loaf like you normally see, but I just gonna put it in a loaf pan, make it a little bit easier. There. I'm waiting for my oven to finish heating, and we'll get that in there, and I'll get it baked off. I'll have it in there. Set it at 40 minutes, but it depending on how much it rises, I might go at least 50 minutes since it's sourdough. I'm used to baking them in the round thing in my Dutch oven, but this time I'm doing it in this, so we'll see how things go. So we'll be back once it's baked up, and I'll show you the end results. It's a baking, looking good. Soon we'll be taking it out of the oven. Okay, we're out of the oven. Look at that. That look beautiful. Easy peasy sourdough bread. Made in your own kitchen. And you can do it too. It's that simple. Thanks for watching. Yeah, if you enjoyed my videos, please like and subscribe. Helps me grow my channel, as I enjoy watching your videos as well to learn. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. And go make some bread.